All right, what is happening? From the 403 to the HAZ, Mr. Nelson, here to talk about unit conversion. And unit conversion is probably one of the most commonly used skills that you'll learn in high school math, because we need to convert between things like time, money, like measurements when we're in the States and we have to kind of get a handle on how many miles or how many kilometers or if I'm driving 60 miles, how much is that in kilometers? Because that's my frame of reference, right? So something you do a lot, and at this point I do a lot of it just mentally, but we need to kind of crawl before we can walk. So we're going to start with unit conversion in the metric system, the SI system. The metric system is based on tens, and that's why most of the world, other than the States, uses it. Things like kilometers, liters, 1,000 milliliters is a liter, 1,000 meters is a kilometer, 1,000 millimeters is a meter. It's just based on tens, which makes converting very easily, and that's why it was designed as such. So to begin, we need to know that in our realm of high school math, there's a few different notations or Latin prefixes that we can use. So one unit smaller than a meter, a liter, or a gram is meter, liters, and grams. So grams is mass, liters is volume, meters is distance. That's what we'll use as our baseline. Those are kind of like our reference points. This is our home. This is where we live. We've got a nice little house here, two kids, a wife, white picket fence. That's our home. Okay, the next here we're going to have a deci. Deci, Latin for 10, decade, deci. And then we're going to have centi. So you can imagine decimeters, centimeters, deciliters, centiliters, decigrams, centigrams, okay? And then finally we'll have milli. Not to be confused with meter here. Milli, you can think millimeter, milliliter, milligram. Okay, so each of these is 10 times smaller than the next one. That means 1 meter, if I'm 1 meter, and I'm moving this way, and I was asked to convert to millimeters, each time I move here, I would multiply by 10, okay? And conversely, if I start moving in the other direction, so if I start moving in this direction, I'm going to be dividing by 10 each time. Okay, dividing by 10, dividing by 10 each time. So if I go from meter to millimeter, I go 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. I multiply that number by 1,000. On the other side, we have deca. So decameters, that's 10 meters. We have hectometers, which is 100 meters. And then we have kilometers or kiloliters or kilograms or hectograms or hectoliters, right? And each of these, when I'm going this direction, just like when I'm going this direction in red, when I go this way, I divide by 10 each time. So if I had 1 meter, I would divide it by 10 to get that means I have 0.1 decameters. Dividing by 10 and divide by 10. And again, if I had 1 kilometer, well, 1 kilometer going this way means I have 10 hectometers. If I go this way again, I have 10 times 10, so I have 100 decameters. And then if I multiply by a final 10 to get to meters, I have 1,000 meters. And that's why the metric system is so beautiful. So converting between each is quite easy. So let's do some examples. Let's say I have 30 grams, and I want to know how many kilograms that is. Okay? So if I have this in front of me, the easiest thing to do to solve this problem is to determine where my decimal is, okay? So in this case, I have an invisible decimal, and it's located right here. And to get to kilograms for meters, I have to go left 1, 2, 3 times. So I can actually just take my decimal and move it left 1, 2, 3 times, fill in the 0 and put the decimal there. And then I can change this to kilograms. That's the kind of the easiest way when I have this in front of me and I can think that way. But if I were to do the math here, 30 grams is equal to how many kilograms? Well, first I'm going to find the relationship between kilograms and grams. So 1 gram divided by 10 divided by 10 divided by 10, or I could say that I have 0.001 grams is 1 kilogram, or an easier way for me would be that 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. I know that relationship just from looking up here, right? This is 1,000, or one of these is 1,000 of these. One of these is 100 of these. One of these is 10 of these. One of these is one of these is 10 of these, one of these is 100 of these, and one of these is 1,000 of these. Get your head wrapped around that if that doesn't make sense right away. So my relationship between kilograms and grams is 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if I put a gram up here and I have a gram down here, and this is a multiplication, I replace that with a multiplication, I will now cancel away my grams. And I can actually put 1 kilogram beside the kilograms, because I know that there's 1 kilogram for every 1,000 grams. I put the right number beside the right measurement. And if I do this, I get 30 times 1 divided by 1,000 kilograms, or 0.030 kg, which is what I got when I just moved my decimal. And that's pretty much working with metric conversions, but we can do a couple more here. Let's say I have 57 decagrams, DA grams, and I want to know how many milligrams that is. How many milligrams is that? Okay, so I'm going to use this method now. And I know that 1 decagram is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. So 1 decagram is 10,000 milligrams. Now, I want to end up with milligrams, and it's on top. So I'm going to put decagrams on the bottom floor here. And I'm going to match the right measurement, ratio with the right measurement. So I get 1 beside decagrams and 10,000 beside milligrams. Now I can just run the math. A decagram on the bottom cancels with a decagram on top, because a decagram divided by a decagram is 1. And this becomes 570,000 milligrams. And if I did this the other way, I would have had 57, I would have located my decimal right here, and I would have known that I'm moving to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, put my decimal there, and I'm going to add a 0 for each one. And I don't need the decimal actually, and this leaves me with, again, 57,000 milligrams. One more example. Let's say I have 15 centiliters, and I want to know how many hectoliters that is. Well, again, I look here. I've got centiliters and hectoliters. 1 hectoliter is the same as 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Again, 1 hectoliter is 10,000 centiliters. 1 hectoliter is 10,000 centiliters. And so I'm trying to get rid of centiliters. It goes on the bottom, and I'm going to replace this with a multiplication. That goes away, that goes away. I match 1 with the hectoliter and 10,000 with the centiliter, which I kind of canceled out a little too early. And then I get 15 times 1 divided by 10,000 hectoliters. And I don't know what that works out to right off the top of my head. I don't feel like doing the math, so I'm just going to do it the cheaty way. So I'm moving from centiliters now. If I'm going to use this method, I have to move in the direction I'm going. Okay? This method, I can use whatever ratio I want. Either I can say 1 centiliter is divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10, or I can say 1H is times 10, times 10, times 10. When I'm using this method, I have to move in the direction from where I'm starting, which is at centiliters, towards hectoliters. So I divide, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I get 0, 0. So it's 0.0015. This is equal to 0.0015 centiliters, hectoliters. Okay? Let's do one last one here. So let's do, let's go for the whole shebang. 10, well, let's go 0.005 kilometers is how many millimeters? Okay? Is equal to how many millimeters? So, step 1, I need to have a ratio that relates kilometers to meters. So I know that 1 kilometer, it's always easier if I start left and go right when I'm doing this method, is 1 is 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000, times 10 is 10,000, times 10 is 100,000, times 10 is 1,000,000. So 1 kilometer is 1,000,000 millimeters. Okay? So now I'm going to replace the equals with a multiplication, and I need to have kilometers on the bottom because that's what I'm trying to get rid of. And I get 1,000,000, I'm going to put the million beside the millimeters, beside the right unit, over 1. And all I have to do in this case is the multiplication, 0.005 times 1,000,000 is, not quite sure, so I'm going to use the other method now, where I start with 0.005. And I'm moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll put my decimal there. And so this, oh shoot, I gotta do that again. 005, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 0, 0, dot. Okay. So these zeros become erroneous, they don't matter, and I get 5,000 millimeters. So this should equal 5,000 millimeters. Okay? That is how we do unit conversion in the metric system.